Are you over Victober? Have you been scarred by Victorian literature? Some heavy shit, isn't it? I definitely dug into all these books this month. Ready to drop them like a hot potato. But this is what I'm going to do today. I'm just going to read you some other recommendations as you figure out what you're going to read next year or what you're going to read next month or this month. This is what this book recommends you read, okay? By Charles Dickens, Great Expectations, Little Dorrit, Dombey and Son, Oliver Twist, David Copperfield, Hard Times, Martin Chuzzlewit, Bleak House, The Old Curiosity Shop, Our Mutual Friend, and The Pickwick Papers. I did enjoy those. Barnaby Rudge, Mystery of Edwin Drood, Redburn by Herman Melville, Cranford and Cousin Phyllis by Elizabeth Gaskell, the narrative and author of Gordon Pym of Nantucket, Edgar Allan Poe, for Jacobean City Comedies, no author. How about that? It's only edited by Gianni Salgato. How about a book called Old Mortality by Sir Walter Scott? And English Mystery Plays, no author, edited by Peter Hapeby. The back of this book recommends I'll read a couple. This is what I might check out. Flatland by Edwin Abbott. I've been meaning that for a long time. About sonnets from the Portuguese and other poems by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Probably going to check out Rime of the Ancient Mariner by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Cricket on the Hearth, Charles Dickens. Notes from the Underground, Fyodor Dostoevsky. I think that's on my list this year to do. Faust by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. Dubliners by James Joyce. I think this other book recommended Dubliners. You know what it says about it? Hold on, let me find it. It says Dubliners by James Joyce is a 15-story collection of vivid, tightly focused observations of the lives of Dublin's poorer classes. One of them is called The Dead, and it is considered a masterpiece. How about Green Tea and Ghost Stories, J. Sheridan Lefanu. The Queen of Spades, Alexander Pushkin. Goblin Market by Christina Rossetti. She's an Irish author, maybe. Might check out Great Love Poems by Shane Weller. Here's a weird one. The History of Underclothes by C. Willett Cunnington and Phyllis Cunnington. Fascinating, well-documented survey covering the 6 centuries of English undergarments. Lace-up bodices, corsets for men, bust improvers. I don't know about that one. How about, there's some really disturbing ones in here. The Malleus Maleficarum of Kramer and Sprenger by Montague Summers, a full text of important witch hunters' Bible used by Catholics. And Protestants, yeah. I was just a victim of a witch hunt, and I stood a witch trial, which they withdrew because they were fraud. So, you know, we have Magic and Mystery in Tibet by Madame Alexandra David Neal. Experiences among lamas, magicians, sages, sorcerers, Bonpa wizards, true psychic discovery. I don't know. Rime of the Ancient Mariner, it's in here too. The one, it's by S.T. Coleridge. It's his finest work. 34 plates capture the moods and subtlety of the poems. How about The Haunted Monastery and the Chinese Maze Murders, Robert Van Gulik. Murder at the Pageant, Victor Whitechurch. Odd John and Sirius by Olaf Stapledon. Last and First Men and Star Maker, Olaf Stapledon. Mayhem in B Flat by Elliot Paul. The Golem by Gustav Meyrink. The Rays, Philip MacDonald. Hide and Seek, Wilkie Collins. Wilkie Collins is my new favorite found author that I discovered this year. The Dead Secret, Wilkie Collins. Haunted Hotel, Wilkie Collins. Blind Love, Wilkie Collins. Down There, Joris Huntsman. The Footsteps of the Lock, Ronald Knox. Uncle Silas, Sheridan LeFanu. The African Millionaire, Grant Allen. The Red Thumb, The Red Thumb Mark by R. Austin Freeman. Against the Grain, Joris Huntsman. This one might recommend Cranford by Elizabeth Gaskell. Portrait of the residents of an English country town in the mid-19th century. Cranford relates the adventures of Miss Mattie and Miss Deborah, two middle-aged spinster sisters striving to live with dignity in reduced circumstances. And through a series of vignettes, Elizabeth Gaskell portrays a community governed by old-fashioned habits, dominated by friendships. Her wiry account of rural life is undercut, however, by tragedy in its depiction of such troubling events, as Mattie's bankruptcy and the violent death of Captain Brown and the unwitting cruelty of Peter Jenkins. Written with acute observation, Cranford is, by turn, movingly darkly satirical. So, did I tell you this already? There's two books. I read South Smart, but there's two more in here that I'm probably going to check out today. It's called The Lifted Veil and Brother Jacob. Wuthering Heights, Emily Bronte. Well, what are you gonna read? Put it in the comments. I'm gonna pick one for the month, so let me know.